What up, everybody? It's your boy St. Cloud the Pilot, and this is Pilot Talk.
This is the way of the universe. That is the way of the universe. This is the way of the universe.
What up, everybody? It's your boy Sammy St. Cloud, and it is that time. Episode 2 of Pilot Talk is here. I'm so excited. Today I have a very special guest on. He is a filmmaker, he is a writer, and he is also a rapper, my good friend Trei Hill. We actually met a couple years ago through a mutual friend. We realized that we both were on this journey of becoming master storytellers, and we both realized that we love hip hop. So, we had the chance of working on some music videos together. Trei actually directed a music video for We Are LUCiD, me and Malia, and we also did some short films together. And you know what? This guy has such an infectious personality. He's such a joy to be around, and he has such a unique outlook on life, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. So please welcome my buddy, Trei Hill. Yeah.
If you want time, never, just let me know.
What up, my friend?
What up, brother?
You doing good, man?
Never bad, my man. I can't complain, man. It's always good to talk to you.
Hell yeah, dude. I feel the same way. I mean, I feel like we always have good conversations. So to be able to use it, to have them on this platform is very, special to me. So I want to start by asking you, first off, congratulations on the baby to come. That's exciting.
Thanks, my man. Yeah, man. She's 3 weeks away. So basically
Crazy.
it can happen any day, man. So yeah, it's fun
Are
stuff.
you excited?
Yeah, man. Yeah. When I turn my focus and think about it, yeah. But all of my mentors and everyone I respect and that has gone through it, they're all like, everything will change and it'll all happen in a very organic way. So just embrace it, right?
Sure.
So
Definitely.
I'm trying not to be anxious about it. Really, really excited about it.
For sure, man. So what have you been doing, during the quarantine and the social distancing and everything, just to keep your mind right and just to now that are you still going to school right now or?
Yep. So that definitely got complicated due to coronavirus, but it's still fine. I'll just be in for a little bit longer, take my time, and this summer I can focus more on the family. But no, man, my days. It's honestly been a blessing in disguise because I just have a to-do list and I'm just checking them off now. I can just kind of laser in more and, there's just a lot of writing and, development and, small boxes to check off of like budgeting and, setting up, the podcast that I got going on and,
Awesome. Hell yeah.
All that good stuff, production plans and, getting ready for the plan for when I do graduate. And,
Definitely.
And then of course my wife keeps me running around,
Right.
So
I know the feeling, man. I hear it.
yeah, man.
So the first thing I want to talk to you actually about is rapping. So when did you first realize that you like to rap?
Yeah, man. So the first time I realized that I liked to rap was probably, I would say, around 7th, 8th grade. I was always a writer in many different forms. I wrote, little comics and journals and, I wrote a book about imaginary dinosaurs. Yeah, man. But it didn't turn into music until the summer after I met my older brother, and he kind of changed me from the bubblegum getting jiggy with it, Puff Daddy stuff to Wu-Tang and Nas and Mobb Deep and Outkast, and that it wasn't until I really, or we would be breaking down lessons. He would be breaking down lessons with me, like Supreme Mathematics and 5% Nation, and when I actually started to listen to music for more than just dancing and stuff, and that when that was right when they had, I think it was Ooh La La La, .com where you could go on and get the lyrics, and I
Yeah.
would print out the lyrics, and I would just circle them and highlight them, and I don't even know what I was doing. I would love to find those notes because I look back, I'm like, what was I doing? What did I see
Right.
then,
You're like,
right?
yeah, for sure. That's
You
awesome.
know, but yeah, just like I would just circle and write and scribble and highlight, and I think that's when I first started to write rhymes, and like I would listen to instrumentals, look for instrumentals to my favorite songs, on that, what was it, like the joint that was like horrible for your camera, I mean your computer, that would just fry your computer.
Oh, LimeWire or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
son. Yeah, man. Like, and I didn't even have a computer, so I was like frying all my friends' computers, trying to download instrumentals and stuff, man. And I never, at that point, I was I was in high school and middle school.
Right.
I never really saw it as a career or anything. It was more art therapy at that point, like we were talking about before. But,
Yeah, thanks. That's awesome. So that's crazy. Like, so how old were you at that point that you already kind of like, I don't know, were you aware that you were already kind of using like rap as like therapy?
I like to think I'm self-aware. I
Yeah,
don't know.
sure.
I think I did see it as a good hobby. I think I definitely saw it as therapeutic, man. Like, because I like I said, I always went to the pen, in so many forms. But when I started writing rhymes, I think that I really started. That was when I really first started to articulate my thoughts and figuring out how to get them out and how they would sound to other people, right?
Right.
I definitely think that was uh, a big moment in that aspect, definitely.
Was there a certain song or like a certain artist that you think that like influenced you most at that point where you were like, you felt that in their music as well? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. That as such unfair. It's like asking what my favorite movie is, right?
Right.
Um,
Right. I know.
you
It's
know,
so right.
I'm gonna condense it down to the time, to the era that you're referring to.
Definitely.
And when you're talking about when I first fell in love with hip hop again, you're talking about my older brother switching me from, getting jiggy with it and like the
Right.
shiny suits.
Right.
It was that, like I said, Wu-Tang, and all the offshoots too, Killer Army and
Yes.
Killer Priest, Sons of Man, all
Yes.
of that. I was in deep on all of that, but I would say that my personal journey, if you talk about artists, I'll have to boil it down to the the least I could boil it down to would be at that point in my life is definitely Prodigy from Mobb Deep,
Yes. Yes.
Andre 3000 from Outkast, and the homie NAS.
Yeah.
And it's like in them, for me, I got a lot of different things uh, with with Prodigy. That teenage angst, that preteen angst,
Right.
where we're boys and like we're angry at everything and we want to
Right.
wear all baggy clothes and f everything, and like on my mind is madness, like that's Prodigy to the umpteenth, right? And
Right.
when you in those modes, like you don't want to be trapped in those spaces, but like
Right.
he definitely, he was my sort of blues, he was my kind
Yeah.
of preteen blues,
Yeah. I love
and
that analogy.
yeah, man. And then I would definitely say with Andre 3000, like I always saw myself, even though my brother was getting me hip to Wu Tang, like he definitely came from a rougher background than me, and life definitely hadn't been the kindest to him as it was to me. So it was like, I never really could feel like what Ghostface was talking about the way he could feel it,
Right.
right?
Right.
So it's almost like that imposter syndrome. But when it came to Andre 3K, like I didn't feel like I could be the hardest gangster. I didn't feel like I could be the coolest like Nas. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? But
Right.
I knew I could be the loudest and like the flyest and like just like the most outspoken, and be different and kind of be embraced by the things that make me different. And actually I didn't know that until I listened to Andre. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
like Andre really made me feel like I was cool. It was cool to be weird, you know.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
and then the last one, of course, like is just as Nas, you know, like my son is gonna be named Nasir, you know,
I love
and
that, dude.
yeah, you know, and it's like on
And
everything, and on everything for without sounding like you know absolute, um, you know, just worshiping him. Like I just feel like we just kind of carry the same type energy, and when I hear his lyrics of introspection and the way he's able, I feel like you know when I think about the analogy of him and Jay Z, what it's like Nas, it, he's kind of always had like this kind of born like attractiveness, you know, like the way he speaks, you know, the his he's very talented lyrically. His first album was a classic. He's a good looking guy, you know, like
right,
he's
right,
he's like, you know, he was always cool on the block. He was always
right.
Nas on the block. And Jay-Z, he's kind of like he kept saying, I'm the best. And we were kind of like, nah,
Uh,
nah.
yeah.
And until we were like, all right, damn, right, you know. And
Right.
I'm only bringing out their analogy just to say that what I recognize in Nas is just kind of like this kind of humble energy of just kind of you know introspection and just kind of figuring out what to do with this position that you feel like you are empowered to take, you know, and his way of articulating himself and articulating his thoughts and his perspective. I just really respect him, you know, and I really see my and again, it's to this day, you know, it gives me encouragement and yeah, man. Like again, it's just the same energy. I feel like
And I feel
definitely.
like too with Nas is like you don't see a lot of artists at least that have been out as long as he have has been like
Mm-hmm.
be able to constantly like push their pen and kind of like make you like realize that like dudes like him are constantly like evolving as artists. You know what I'm saying? Like he never gave up on his art just because he was getting older or just because he was, you know what I'm saying? Like even when he put out that last album, like the one with Cherry Wine and all that shit, it's just showed so much maturity. It's like it almost makes you feel like what would have Pop be like right now if he was putting out music, right? Like what type of like what messages would he be talking about in the world? Like how would he look at current events and all that stuff too? So I feel like Nas is just one of
Mm-hmm.
the people that inspires me so much just to keep going. Like no matter how old you are, no matter what it is, it's like be about your art. And I feel like he always had a message in his shit. He just wasn't right. He wasn't just rapping because and I'm not saying anything against like Jay Z, but he even said in some of his songs like I was out here hustling and I was out here rapping because he was trying to make money. And I feel like it was very always clear in Nas's message that he was like an artist. Like he was like looked at his,
Mm-hmm.
Kanye looks at himself like I am an artist. Like Nas is a
Yeah.
great artist. Like there's an art to it when you see him rap. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I think that him and Jigga's dichotomy, I think the reason why it is so powerful and it's such a great yin to a yang, because people, you know, I'm gonna talk about like a lot of folks that I rapped with in my years, or maybe just a handful. But
Right.
it's like, you know, at that time, you know, early 20s, like that was like the 50 Cent, T.I., Kanye era, Hustler, you know, Rick
Right.
Ross, get your money, Young Jeezy, get your money. Like I'm in this for the hustle. And I think at the same time that when I was entering the game and I was realizing that I was talented and that I had something that people wanted to listen to, especially performance wise, more than recording artist wise, I had a lot more experience as a performer, so it worked out a lot more for me that way. But it was just like, wow, oh man, there's something here. I love this. I want to do this as much as possible, and I want to get good at it, and I want to share it with people, and I want to figure out how to articulate this and get good at it so I can share it with people. And any success from this is a byproduct of that.
Right.
Is a byproduct of how good I did doing that, right? And that's the way I always saw that. But I think in hindsight, I think I recognized in a lot of other people that I was around where it was like, this is going to get me on, which
Yeah.
is dope, which is all gravy. I'm not knocking it
Yeah.
at all. But
Yeah.
if you're like, this is how I'm going to get on, then I just think that when you talk about like Nas being able to kind of always kind of be about the artist. I think his artistry. I think it's about being about your voice, being loyal with your voice. Because if you're loyal to your voice, then you can get better at your voice. You can be loyal to the audience that appreciates that voice, and you can kind of shape that world and kind of be a king in your own self, kind of, in that endeavor. And and it doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how much notoriety or acclaim you won. The second you spoke into the mic, you won because you're doing what you love to do, right?
Right.
So,
Dude, yeah, I love that. And it's funny that you even mentioned it earlier. You're like, at first it was like more of like an art therapy to me, and I love that because me and you have talked about that a lot. I feel like there's like some connection in that to like a lot of like at the root of hip hop, like when it was first started, that was like you can just hear it in a lot of the songs, like that it was therapy for them and them talking about their stories and like what they have been through. And at the time where there wasn't a big outlet or a place for African Americans or other minorities to have a voice, hip hop was that place where they could kind of share it and kind of talk about their struggles or what they're like faced, kind of what they're going through. So I feel like that's why I love when you like say this shit about art therapy. Because for me, when I first started like really rapping, I feel like it was like that for you too, or same as you. It was like I started writing like lyrics and poetry and shit, and I knew that I liked, I knew that I liked to rap, and I wanted to, like, I feel like at the like it was like half and half. It was like I wanted to to be like Nas or to be like all these other guys, and I wanted to be cool and be on stage and rock the mic and all that other shit. But I feel like really at the root of it, like what it was doing for my life at such a young age, it was giving me like, a way to like, I don't know, work through some of the shit that I was probably not working through in my life at the time, in a healthy way. But when I could sit down and write
right.
it out, it changed my whole perspective on like using that art, to self-soothe or whatever you want to say. You know what I'm saying? Hell yeah.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I think that's the best thing that art can do, man, for yourself and for others. It's my wife is a clinician, and I joke around that, like, she gets to go down and do the dirty work, and actually touch people on a personal level, while I get to play up in the clouds all day, right,
For
and
sure.
play in fantasy land. But I do honestly see, like, almost like the yogi, like being in a meditative state, to bring peace. It's almost like that, where it's like, if I can, I feel like if I can kind of reach that place where, as an artist, that I can, you know, communicate in an eloquent way what I'm trying to do, whether it be a film or a song, or
Right.
whatever piece of writing, it it puts me in a positive place, and the people that are, viewing it, or experiencing it. And I think that's the best thing that, any of us can, hope to get as an artist, definitely.
Definitely. So there's this teacher in Atlanta named Bettina Love, and she talks about like basically like hip hop being connected to like African Americans, like ancestral like DNA. Like it's like in our
Oh, yes.
yeah. I was gonna ask you about. So what do you feel about those people that we were talking about, like Nas? Do you hear that and like as it like being a way that we have like kind of like stayed connected to our ancestors and kind of could stay connected to like how our art was supposed to be used at at a root of actually what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. Man. This is our stuff, man. This is what we geek out about with our graphic novels that we work on, and
Oh yeah.
all the folklore behind what we do as artists. I think that us, as as Black Americans, especially when you talk about the Afrofuturism and stuff, it's like we do a lot of, in our art, we do a lot of history correcting. We do a lot of searching for power, for our history, for our lineage. We do a lot of making it up, you know,
For
for
sure.
for better or worse.
Yeah.
Um, I think that it's really dope that, rap. I think the founding fathers, when you talk about the original five elements, breakboy dancing, graffiti,
Mhm.
MCing, DJing. Oh, I'm forgetting one. Graffiti,
Graffiti,
dancing,
dancing,
rapping, MCing.
or
Damn. There's another one. It'll come up, man. Oh man, the hip hop boys are gonna get us for that one. But
Yeah.
no,
Oh shit! Mel? What are we missing? DJ, breakdancing, like dancing, rap,
graffiti,
graffiti.
MC.
But
Oh,
it's
you said rap. You said rap.
yeah.
It's all good. We'll figure it out, man. No, but but in any event, you know, the original elements. They're very similar to like Avatar. You know, like that last Airbender, right? When you talk about like air, water, fire, um, ground, earth, all that jazz. And I think that when we as in the Latino Americans that you were talking about, I think that as people of color, I'm very much a vibrationalist, and I definitely think that we all are just living in different frequencies. Whether that and it's much due to many different elements as far as who we are, where we're from, our nurturement, our nature, what we do. Um, what we believe in, that that those are like two big things, right? Like our actions and what we choose to put our attention to, right? It
Right.
has everything to do with the vibration that you're working on, right?
Right.
The words that come out of your mouth, right? Like curse words, like they're literally curse words, right? Like what are you gonna put on, what is the energy that you putting out to people and all that stuff, right? So I think that violins, like that light strings put you in this place, right? But doom 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 doom, that puts you to a whole other place, right?
Right.
And I think that hip hop is just in that kind of free kind of sort of digital non-linear way of kind of mixing up and using all of those energies in a very alchemical way that's very ancient.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff we can get into our real deep in our bag and talk about African Bambata coming from another planet, and
Sun
coming
Ra.
from the Sun Ra, the star Orion. We can really get deep into it, but more than anything, to sum it all up, I think that the griot, the ancient African griot, um, would prove to you that we've always been a very vibratorial. We didn't write down. We spoke the word. The word, the gains to be sold, not to be told, right? It's like we didn't write it down to give to others or to hoard or to use as power. We exchanged it, in a very vibratorial way that was reciprocated, by the listener and the speaker, and it was a rhythmic way, right? Like what somebody might call like ebonics and uneducated. We know how to talk through and around the words and the letters and the spaces in between them,
Right.
and that's why we can when we speak, we're talking with our hands, and then I'm up here with you, bro. But then guess what?
Right.
The other day, like we can, it's like I feel like that's what storytelling is in its essence, and I think that just hip hop is just such a potent way, especially coming from where we're from. It's such a potent example of what our ancestors kind of the same frequency that they were on. We're just doing it. We just upgraded it. We're just taking it to another level, man. And we've been running it. It's been running culture.
Definitely, 100%. So when you say storytelling, let me ask you a question. So I know you went from rapping and writing first, and then you kind of went into film after that. Or did the comic book actually come before the film, or did the comic book writing and the filmmaking all kind of like happen simultaneously? Did I say that
Sure. Fix it in post. No.
right? Yeah, right. Yeah.
No. So yeah, man. The specifically on the New Travels of Black Dot that you're talking about, I started writing that back in 2009. Now, of course, I did all sorts of crazy stuff when I was a kid. I remember Vacuum Mater versus Dustzilla when I was like 6 years old.
Awesome. That's
Right?
Mine was
But
Adventures of Flim and Earl. I remember that Adventures of Flim.
Flim and Earl really throwing up.
It was about some country ass I don't know where I was going with, but it's basically I was on some trying to raise awareness about uh what would I like kind of like, I guess it would be like racism. It was like it was like almost like the Boondocks kind of, but it was about these
Okay.
white guys that were like super country and kind of like racist and shit. I don't know like where I was going with it, but yeah, dude,
That sounds like it needs to get greenlit ASAP. Phlegm and Earl are two different synonyms for throwing up. So maybe you were dealing with some sort of
what?
sickness.
Damn, that's crazy. I didn't even think about that. That's hilarious. One day you'll do that. Well, that'll be one of our future projects.
I'm on it. I'm on it, man.
But yeah, yeah, I would love to hear about that. Like, so yeah, talk more about
Rap
that.
and I'm sorry, hip hop and making movies, between being a rap artist and being a film director.
So just like your path, just like your transition from storytelling from one perspective with like the rapping and writing, right, and then going into like the filmmaking. And I was asking you at the time, like, 'cause I didn't know, because for everybody that's like going to watch this, Trey has also written a comic book as well. Did the idea for the comic book and that process come before you went to SCAD and started taking filmmaking serious?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, it did. I started working on Black Dot. Like, there are people on the set. I remember being on the set of Loving when we were filming in Virginia, and I was showing them when my illustrators were sending me the first character Bible that we were doing. I'm like, oh, look at this. I'm like showing Joel Edgerton and Ruth Nega. I'm like, look at this, look at this.
That's
They're like,
awesome.
oh snap. Yeah, man. And I remember, even before that, when we were drawing them and showing them pictures, like it's sketches to other people. So yeah, man. I have been at it for a while, just writing concepts. Originally, it was a screenplay that I wrote when I was working at Geico.
Oh wow. Okay.
I was in homeowners insurance, and that was like my getaway. Is that I would just constantly work on this screenplay that I wanted to kind of establish this whole universe. And that was even before Marvel started doing it. That was back in like 2009,
Right.
and like even though they were kind of already starting, but like
But you already
it
were
was
like birthing that idea of like trying to build this universe around this like certain
right.
character that you've already
Right, and I mean, because we grew up on comics, and that was kind of
right.
the way I had always saw it. Anyway, I was just like, why, like, why write like a small story that when you can just expound upon it in so many different ways you can write. I always kind of wrote like I was kind of I'm kind of a world builder, where I was like, I love to build this world and then just sit and watch the people interact, and then as a writer I kind of just write down that amount of time that I was watching whatever character, right?
Right.
So you know, um, I didn't decide. I felt like filmmaking found me. I could say that the first thing that really encouraged me to go to film school, when I was like 23 years old, somewhere around there, that was just again, I was working like two jobs. I was at Geico and at Walmart, and working doing like a pyramid scheme, like
Right.
so how it goes. So it was like you know, I just was looking for more, looking to create and stuff, and then I went to like a walk in lost the vernacular right now to the Art Institute of Washington, and the recruiter there, she was just being super sweet to me, and just was just like, I got a feeling this is for you, and maybe she says that to everybody, right? But it worked. So in any event,
right. It was meant for you at that time. Yeah.
exactly, man. So and I didn't, and even and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I had nephews and nieces. They were always talking about being on TV, and we would always be having fun. And at the time, I was at the beginnings of starting to want to record, with being around in the DC area and kind of seeing local artists and starting to get a little courage to want to do it myself. But I didn't really know how to go about it. I
Right.
really, I didn't really know about the whole process of open mics and all that stuff. So anyway, like that's me deciding to go to the Art Institute of Washington, and deciding specifically to go into film was based on those two things, based on like that visit, playing around with my nephews and nieces, and wanting to rap. And then it all blossomed, once I picked up the camera and started understanding screenplay writing and fell in
Sure.
love from there.
So when
But
you did
it's,
all
yeah,
those music videos, that you've showed me some music videos from the past that you did of yourself, right? That you shot your own music videos. Was that before or after you had went to the Art Institute of Washington, right?
that was during.
That was during.
Yeah,
Okay, that's awesome. Awesome.
yeah, that was during. That was during. Yeah, because I finally had the sustenance to do it, and actually, the director of that was one of the stand-ins, Kevin Spacey stand-in on House of Cards.
That's
That
awesome.
was,
Wow.
yeah, he did that. He did that, and so actually, that music video was after I graduated, and
Okay.
that was the only music video I did that exists of myself. But I did do music videos and promos for
For other
different people, for other people. And that
like
started.
you're lucid.
Haha, yeah, man, it's coming.
Shameless plug.
It's almost done baking.
That's a
I,
shameless plug.
yeah, man, yeah, man. But as far as the intersection between hip hop and movies go, I'm gonna rap until I'm 100, or I'm gonna do music until I'm 100, man. Like I love it. I haven't felt compelled to write music almost like over a year, honestly. But I still get on the stage in many different capacities, and me, like, you got to really respect this film game, like this, like, especially if you call yourself wanting to be a director.
Right.
You really got to fall back and really master this game, because it'll take 3 lifetimes to understand it all, right? And plus, so I've really been spending time on figuring out what my voice is as a filmmaker. And I just think where those both correlate and where they're both very much parallel, being a rap artist and being a film director, they can seem very far off in a lot of ways. But what's that Venn diagram? Like that little
Yeah.
part, yeah, that where it's the same, is that people respond to passionate storytelling. You
Right.
know, it's like that's the name of the game. It's like that same energy that Buster Rhymes comes in and that gives us that energy. That same energy is the same feeling that a producer wants to feel when they look at your lookbook, when they listen to your pitch. It's the same thing that a line producer wants to see when they're reading your budget, and it's the same feeling that you want your actors to get when they read it, when they read the script. It's the same. It's the same energy that you want to have with the DP when you guys are talking out the shot lists and the production design. I gotta be the number one cheerleader for my story. The story has to be interesting. It actually has to be good, right? And that's very subjective. So you could say it needs an audience. You have to find an audience, and that doesn't happen without good old fashioned discipline in work. You know, like, put in that work, build your audience, find your voice, and like do it, and like create a discipline to master the craft and respect the film gods, so that they can pay you back, man. And I just think that that's so much in alignment with what I feel like what it was to be a hip hop artist, because you can be a real good lyricist and you can break down the Socrates philosophies, but if the crowd ain't feeling it,
Right.
then nobody's feeling it. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Right? And it's the same exact thing for film, where it's like you're putting so many people through so many things, and you're asking people to sit down and watch your stuff, and it's like, man, you really got to be humble and be well rounded, in pop. It's got to pop. It's got to be story. It's got to be a good story. And that comes again, being passionate about it. You'll get everybody around you, that you get an audience, and you'll get the people around you to help you execute it. If you're passionate about it and you're disciplined, and it's good.
So do you
So,
feel like when you starting out with like rap and like all that stuff, everything that you know now, do you feel like that had a direct, like, I know, positive effect on like your, like, what everything that you're doing with film right now, and like has it influenced any way how you shoot your films or how you go about writing some of your scripts that you've done?
yeah, yeah, everything's probably a gift and a curse. Definitely my past influence everything that I do as an artist in general. I think that mm, the way I write, again, it's very world building based. So and I love sci-fi. I'm definitely an existentialist, transhumanist that is constantly, you know, like thinking super meta, and so I think that a lot of my stories are dealing with altering reality, or kind of a second or third dimensional way of writing where it's like not linear. I don't
Right.
necessarily write in terms of beginning to end,
For sure.
which which is cool. And you just have to be more disciplined and be a lot more clear about the story, because
Definitely.
otherwise you'll just confuse people, and
Right.
people don't like that, right? But I think that I definitely believe in, you know, like the the woke, conscious movement has got a new, you know, taste to it now, to say the least. But in any event, I just want to, whatever you want to call it, I just don't want to do anything for no reason. I want to give
For
people a good
sure.
feeling.
Definitely.
I really appreciate, you know, I'm a dreamer. You know, I want to shoot for, you know, the best, and live there. You know what I'm saying? Like I want people to hope. I want people to like believe in themselves. And to be silly, and to be the unique thing about them, that and to love that, that the world might scrutinize you for, whether it be being conscious as a black American, of our history, and that we're not victims anymore, and that
Right.
we can, it's a choice away, whether it's being more conscious of the LGBTQ, or women's rights,
Fact.
or just all the hippie stuff, man, all the Rasta hippie stuff of just
Right.
loving everybody, man. Like, and like, and I think that I'm constantly trying to find a story, like, as a conduit to get that message across. Whether that was when I was rapping or what I'm doing now, I kind of always am trying to figure out how to get that message out.
Definitely. So where did the like? Because you talked about Afrofuturism earlier, and then you talked about your love, into science fiction. That's both something that we both share, that passion for science fiction. Like, what is, like, for some people that are listening that might not know, like, what is Afrofuturism, and like what does that mean to you, and like where did the inspiration come for your short films that you have out or that you're producing right now that are kind of like geared towards science fiction? Where did that all come from for you?
Right. Man, I gotta say that I came to Afro futurism a bit late, with when Sam Jackson was Afro Samurai.
Yeah. Oh God, dude, I love that. I was just watching that.
Ooh,
So
that
fire.
was so cold. That joke
So
was so
fire.
cold, man. I
So
love that joke, man. I fell in love then, man. But I think that Afrofuturism definitely culminated in the big Black Panther boom. I think that's a really good way of addressing it, and I think that what Afrofuturism is at the core is this sort of a mindset, again, of a sort of a reclamation of our history, and kind of self-correcting, what um trying to justify what uh the slave trade did, man.
right,
Like,
exactly.
what the hell? We can't escape that. Can we just talk about it and address it, so we can just move the F on, right?
Right,
It's
right.
like, every time I feel myself about to bring up slavery, I'm like, why are we still here? I'm like, but you have to address it. I'm
You
not gonna act like it's not there, son.
right,
Like,
like
we shouldn't. We
right,
should just so we can move on. Like, we're traumatized people, you
right.
know. And that's what's and it's like, we have to find uh we have to identify ourselves with dope shit. We have to identify ourselves with conquering what happened to us and
Right.
surviving through it. and
Right.
what happened before, from
Right.
Babylon to Timbuktu,
Right.
understanding
Yeah.
what happened, uh, it, before white supremacy, before we addressed each other as cities and states and countries, and we're addressing each other as tribes and people,
Right. Right.
and spiritual belief systems,
Right.
and it's like I think that Afrofuturism is where we can, man, it's almost where reality and imagination kind of blur. It's this, and it's also where this sort of celebration and a funeral at the same time, where it's like
Right.
it's I get this crazy mix of emotions because I love it so much, but
Yeah.
then it's so disheartening too to know that it's not real,
Right. Right.
and to know that there is no Wakanda, and to know that we did not figure out what to do
Right. And
for
there's
white
still,
supremacy.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's what Afrofuturism is. It's us blending what we learn from the YouTube clips, like that, as what we learn from our history, is what we us have chosen to kind of dig and figure out where we're from. Whether we'll ever be able to find our tribe or not, this nomadic sort of being that we are in as Black Americans. It's us trying to navigate that in the form of fantasy, in the form of these nations that are organically and cyclically respecting the ecosystem, but also technologically enhanced due to no perversion of industrialism or
Right.
utilitarianism, or honestly fear of not having, because it's ran by a people of faith. It's ran by a people of of love, and that are wanting to reciprocate that energy without fear of repercussion.
Definitely. So with all that being said, do you feel like, now that you're in the film industry, do you feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's like, it's really awesome when I turn on the TV and I see all these shows like Blackish and Mixedish and Grown, or and Black as Fuck, and like and even like Fresh
Yeah.
Off the Boat, and all these different shows where there's like minorities like leading, you know what I'm saying? And it's like not even only just the minorities or the cast members, but they're writing the films, they're directing the films now, they're producing the films. With all that being
Mhm.
said, though, do you still feel like that there's some like adversity or still some obstacles for like Black filmmakers that they still are faced with, now today?
Yeah, man. I mean, we're winning, man. We're winning. And I'm gonna preface this with saying that we should always be wanting to progress. Not, there should never be a mountain left unclimbed,
Right.
and that is not to is not to bring down people that are still dealing with stuff, and it's not to align battles in the past with what we're dealing with now. But I mean, it is the democratization of art in general has kind of brought us to a place where anybody can do it. Everybody's a filmmaker. Honestly, uh, I've always believed, and my chorus teacher told me a long time ago, like when I was like, I can't sing, because I was singing like 3, 4 octaves lower than everybody. And she was just
Right.
like, no, you just have to find your voice. You're trying to sing like everybody else, and you have a lower voice, so you have to sing like this, right?
Right.
So it's like, I think, just like she told me, like everybody has a voice, you just have to find it, your singing voice. I believe that everybody's a filmmaker. If you own a phone, you're a filmmaker. If you have an Instagram, if you've shared a film, if you've shared, a piece of like, a movie file with
Right.
like 24 frames per second, then guess what? You're a filmmaker, right?
Right.
So I think that, um, to boil it down, the Tyler Perrys, the Ryan Cooglers, the Issa Raes, I'm talking about current people, and that's not even talking about, John Singleton and Spike
Right.
Lee. I can get real old school on you and
Right.
go, like Robert Townsend all the way to Oscar Michaud, my dog.
Right,
Like,
right. You get
you know,
actors like Sidney Poitier, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, and yeah, man, and you know, he's an actor, right?
yeah,
But it's like, you know, we have to we have to tell stories, so we're going to do it, and we're always going to do it on a high level, and it's also, and we're always going to have an audience. So we just have to, you know, like the Lupe song, if you are what you say you are, you have no fear, because you
right.
know, like there's always people that want real music, and they want real art, and they want, or and I just think that it's just awesome when you can position yourself, like you gotta, it's hard, not because we're black, because you want to be a freaking filmmaker, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because you want to be a rap artist, because you want to call yourself making money for doing something that people do in the shower. You
Right,
feel me? But you want to call yourself making money for it. You feel me?
right,
So you bet. So like, just understand it. Like, you gotta grind for that, man. It's
right.
like you should just, that is a prerequisite, like, of, I gotta be busting my tail. You know, if you're calling yourself wanting to do something on such a high functional level, and I just think that there are racial barriers. uh, there are also a lot of other barriers that, when you want to talk about this frequency, I think that, like, if the bandwidth to become a successful Black American was like this in the 60s, and like this, all the rest of this was like everyone else, like maybe it's like this now. I don't
Right.
know, right?
In fact, yeah, I feel you. Yeah.
Maybe the bandwidth is like right here, and like, you, like, son, give me that. I
Give me
can do
that.
that.
Exactly. I
Give
can
me
do
that, bro.
that. Hell
I
yeah.
can do something in that, because
Hell
my grandfather didn't have that. My
yeah.
father didn't have that.
Facts,
My big brother didn't have that.
bro.
So I'm gonna make it do what it do with this, right? And I'm gonna enjoy it. So I mean, I don't know. I know I'm always talking in circles, but hell yeah, Ryan Coogler, Danny Glover. You know what I'm saying? Hell yeah, Issa. Hell yeah. I mean, like, I'm not saying enough names, man. Like, and I know Ava DuVernay. I
Yeah.
know they busted their tail, man. I know there's stories that I don't know, man, because there's stories that they don't know. There's stories that y'all don't know.
Right.
There's nights of me cleaning up shit, you know, where I know that I might want to shoot, and we're gonna be rehearsing there in the morning.
Right.
And I gotta go, and so I go there at 3 o'clock in the morning to clean up the shit. Like,
Right.
there's stories that I of like problems that have nothing to deal with prejudice. You
Right.
know, it's just hard to do in general. Now, you know, tie a hand behind your back. You know, if you want to talk about, you know, being black in a certain era, but is it the same equivalent to that right now? I don't think so. Is and
Right.
do I still think you gotta? There's some people shucking and jiving out there, you know, that they got to do that to make their money. Yeah, and
Sure.
I'm not knocking them for it, but I mean, that's the system. That's the way it is,
Right.
and I'm sure it's hard for other people in other ways, right? Like, you know, now they don't want to, now they don't want to hear um white guy stories, right? Like,
Right. Right.
white straight guy stories, right? So
Right.
now, if you're a straight white guy, now they can talk about their struggle now, right?
I mean, even Jordan Peele set him up. Even Jordan Peele was like, you know, I try not to book a white guy as my lead because we've heard that story. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah, and I'm the same way.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way. And it's like, I mean, my leads have been, like, my last lead was a woman. The lead before that was an Asian man. The lead before that was a black man. And that's, I feel, and maybe this is probably an indictment on my storytelling, but it's like, if those were white guys, that story would have already been told before. So you know what I'm saying?
I
You
feel
know what
you.
I'm saying?
I feel you.
So so I don't know. At the end of the day, I think that it's there, and maybe I've experienced stuff, and I have actually experienced prejudice, and you know, I've dealt with a lot of BS, you know, based on racism before. I'm sure I'll deal with it in the past, but it'll never be on my tombstone as like brought me down.
Right.
It'll never be. I'll never allow such a dogmatic position conquer me. Like I'm on top of a base of bedrock. If you're on that, I mean, it's not even by my, in my personal beliefs, that'll take care of itself.
Facts, dude. Well, you know what? You just hit me with something. I got one last question before we go, but I want to just you just brought something into my mind. Me, you, Mel, and Robin are gonna have to talk about interracial relationships one day.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I
Yeah,
feel
man.
good, especially and then Robin, her background and everything, so she could talk about it from so many other points too. So I feel like that'd be cool.
That would
My,
be great, man.
yeah, hell yeah. My last thing I gotta ask you is that you kind of already touched on it, but is there any like if there's like an aspiring filmmaker or writer or rapper out there maybe watching this, any advice you could give them to if they're not feeling motivated right now or inspired to create?
Um, I'm gonna sound like a Saturday morning cartoon. Like you can do anything when you put your mind to it. Just be disciplined and put your energy towards it. Um, you know, um, learn yourself, learn the craft. Don't do it for money. And I'm saying that in every way. Like be uncomfortable on whatever level that you're on. Like we all got to survive, but also be comfortable in just doing your craft. Like really, and if you're not, then it's okay. Find
Right.
something else to do. And don't beat yourself up about it. Find your story. Find your voice and have fun with it, man.
Done.
Enjoy
Yeah,
it.
Trey. I love it. Is there any upcoming projects that or any of your short films out where anybody could see them yet? Like, or is there any?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell everybody where they could go see some of your work if there is?
Yeah, yeah. You could go to my website, treihill.com. It's TreiHill. That you can go on there, and I have a couple of videos on there. Federation Temple, the short film I did a couple years ago, is on there. We did our festival run last summer, so that's finally up on there. I am in post production for a film I'm super excited about called Child Indigo that you guys helped out on, and basically we're just waiting for this Rona. We waiting on the Rona, player. I don't know what to do, man. I'm like, who's gonna want to be at anybody's theater anytime soon, bro?
Dude, I just saw somebody put the coming out on Friday. I'm like, wait, like
why? So I mean, I know there's a lot of streaming platforms, but I'm like, man, like it's such a like. I'm glad that I could focus on being a dad, and that's really what I'm focusing on. Like, because it's like I'm like, man, like that baby, like I was really excited to show that to the world this spring, man. And it's like I don't even know what festivals or doing what or when or.
Hey, dude, that just means it's everything's in divine timing, my brother. So that just means that it's all gonna work out right when it's supposed to. I have no worries about that for you, man, dude.
I appreciate it, man.
I'm so glad that we got to have this conversation. You inspire me, brother. Like, we're gonna do this again, sometime soon. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media or on
Instagram, man.
Facebook, all that stuff.
Yeah, man. You can again Trei Hill, Trei Hill, Hill. That's my Facebook, my Instagram. You can go to my website too. And Sammy, I will sign off without telling you just how dope you are. Like I love your energy. You are always seeking to. You want to talk about that journey of knowing yourself. I feel like you master it so eloquently, man. Like you're a dancer. You dance. So your dance is eloquent in life, my man. You're such a loving person, and you're a powerful person. Your energy is powerful and beautiful. And thank you, man. Thanks for letting the brother hang.
Again, dude. Hey, we're for sure gonna do this. Like I'm gonna watch all this footage back and everything because I feel like we had a lot of good shit in there. But and I'll send it to you. But let's just plan that we'll probably do this again. But if not, we got it. For sure.
Whatever, man. I'm here for you, homie.
Appreciate you so much, brother.
Great,
hey,
man.
Say hi, all right?
I got you. Tell Mel I said peace out and keep you together over there.
Hell yeah, brother.
I'm messing with you, boss. Be easy, all right?
No, you too, brother. Thank you.
All right.